Welcome back to the channel. It's great to have you here once again, where we dive into the hidden stories behind rare treasures, lost artifacts, and unbelievable discoveries that sometimes change the way we see the world. Today, we're stepping into the incredible world of rare coins, but not just any coin. We're talking about a small, humble 1-cent piece from 1989 that, against all odds, became one of the most valuable coins in history, selling for an unbelievable $63 million. Yes, you heard that right, $63 million for a penny. Before we get there, let's rewind. Imagine you're a kid in 1989, jiggling some change in your pocket, maybe heading to a corner store to grab a soda or a handful of candies. In that handful of coins, there could have been a penny. Ordinary, right? Nothing special. Maybe you didn't even think twice about it. You might have tossed it on your dresser or dropped it between the couch cushions. Now imagine if that exact penny had a secret. A hidden story, a tiny detail so rare that collectors around the world would one day wage a bidding war over it, pushing the price into the tens of millions. But the story of the 1989 penny isn't just about a lucky minting error or a fluke in production. It's about history, craftsmanship, and the growing realization that sometimes the smallest, most overlooked things can hold enormous value. The 1980s were a fascinating time for coin production. The U.S. Mint had been transitioning materials, refining designs, and dealing with all kinds of logistical challenges. In 1982, they changed the composition of pennies from solid copper to a copper-plated zinc core because copper had become too expensive. By 1989, they had mostly settled into this new standard, but, as always, anomalies occurred. In a system that pushes out billions of coins a year, errors are inevitable. But the rarest and most valuable coins aren't just ordinary mistakes. They're perfect mistakes. Ones that look intentional, even though they were accidents. The legendary 1989 1-cent coin that sold for $63 million was one of these perfect accidents. Its story begins in a minting facility where, according to rumors and some sparse documentation, a few experimental coins were produced with different metal compositions, different die alignments, and slightly altered designs. Some say it was an experimental strike meant for internal testing. Others believe it was a prototype for a commemorative issue that never came to be. Whatever the case, a handful of these experimental coins slipped into circulation. Maybe a tired worker wasn't paying attention. Maybe a supervisor turned a blind eye. Or maybe, just maybe, fate intervened. This particular penny, the one that would go on to make history, looked almost like any other at first glance. But under close examination, there were telltale differences. The luster of the coin was richer, deeper. The engraving sharper. And the weight, ever so slightly heavier than the standard copper-plated zinc coins of its day. Experts later determined it was struck on a nearly pure copper planchet, a relic from earlier stockpiles, giving it a composition unseen in regular 1989 issues. Years passed. The coin traveled unknowingly through countless hands. Maybe it paid for a newspaper. Maybe it helped buy coffee. Maybe it sat in a jar, gathering dust. It wasn't until a keen-eyed collector stumbled upon it in the early 2000s that its true nature was suspected. It didn't look quite right under the light. Intrigued, the collector sent it to be professionally graded. That decision would change everything. When the grading report came back, jaws dropped. Not only was it confirmed as an experimental strike, but its condition was near perfect, something almost unheard of for a circulating coin from that era. The penny was now in the spotlight, and soon the numismatic world was abuzz. Whispers turned into shouts. Experts debated its origins. Collectors started dreaming of owning it. Auction houses licked their lips at the thought of the commission. The first auction set a new record, pulling in several $1 million. The new owner, a private collector, tucked it away, understanding that its value would only grow with time. Years later, as the rare coin market exploded thanks to global interest and skyrocketing investments, the penny came back onto the scene. This time, the frenzy was bigger. News outlets picked up the story. Headlines blared. World's most expensive penny hits the market. Television crews filmed segments about it. Podcasts dedicated whole episodes to it. When the gavel finally came down at the final auction, the numbers shocked even the most optimistic appraisers. $63 million. For a penny. In that moment, the 1989 experimental strike 1-cent coin became a legend. But why would someone pay so much for such a small thing? It wasn't just about the metal or even the rarity. It was about the story. The mystique. The idea that something so ordinary could become so extraordinary. The penny represented possibility. That hidden in the everyday could be unimaginable wealth. That things we overlook might one day be treasures. Beyond the staggering price, this penny shifted perspectives. More people started combing through their spare change. Coin collecting saw a renaissance. Young and old alike began learning about mint marks, die errors, and planchet varieties. Some found valuable coins of their own, though none quite like the 1989 legend. The coin itself became a symbol, appearing on posters, commemorative prints, even inspiring a limited documentary series. Schools used its story to teach lessons about history, economics, and probability. It even sparked debates about value itself. What gives something worth? Is it rarity? Is it demand? Is it simply the story we attach to it? Meanwhile, the penny itself lived on in secrecy. Its current owner remains anonymous, their identity hidden behind a tangle of trusts and holding companies. The coin is believed to be kept in a secure, climate-controlled vault somewhere in Europe. Rumors occasionally surface, whispered hints that it might appear at an exclusive private showing, that a billionaire collector from the Middle East or Asia has taken possession, that it might someday return to public auction. Whatever its fate, the 1989 experimental 1-cent coin story continues to grow. It stands as a reminder that sometimes history isn't grand or massive. Sometimes, it's small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. Sometimes, the most extraordinary things are hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone with a sharp eye and a bit of luck to uncover them. As collectors continue to search, dreams are fueled by the thought that maybe, just maybe, there are more of these mysterious coins still out there, lying quietly in forgotten piggy banks, tucked away in attic boxes, or resting at the bottom of old cash drawers. Every time a coin jingles in your pocket, every time you receive change at a store, the spirit of the 1989 penny reminds you, you might just be holding a fortune without even knowing it. It also brings into focus a broader truth about life. How many things do we pass by every day without noticing their hidden potential? How many overlooked opportunities, friendships, ideas could be the equivalent of a $63 million penny in our lives? Sometimes, it's not about having more. It's about seeing more. Paying attention. Looking a little closer. The 1989 penny invites us to do just that. It invites us to believe that magic can exist in the mundane, that the extraordinary can hide within the ordinary, and that with a bit of curiosity and wonder, we can uncover treasures not just in coins, but in every aspect of our lives. And so the next time you find a penny on the sidewalk, maybe you'll think twice before you pass it by. Maybe you'll pick it up, turn it over in your fingers, hold it to the light, and wonder if you're holding something the world hasn't yet realized is priceless. Thanks for spending time with us today, diving deep into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of rare coins. If you enjoyed this video and want more amazing tales of hidden treasures, incredible discoveries, and history's greatest secrets, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out. Until next time, keep your eyes open. You never know when you might stumble upon a fortune. Next, it all started in a quiet town, where an elderly man named Walter lived alone in a small, aging house on the edge of a sleepy neighborhood. Walter was a retired machinist, a man who had spent decades working with metals, bolts, and intricate machines. His hands were rough from years of labor, but his mind remained as sharp as a tack, even well into his 70s. Walter lived modestly, surviving on a fixed income, and often had to count every penny, quite literally. He had a peculiar habit, one that his neighbors found quirky but endearing. He collected coins. Not rare coins, at least not deliberately, just coins. Any coin that passed through his hands went into an old wooden chest tucked away in the back of his closet. It was a tradition he'd started as a young boy and never abandoned. On an overcast afternoon, while cleaning out some old belongings, Walter decided to finally sort through the mountain of coins he'd accumulated over the decades. What began as a way to pass a rainy day quickly became an astonishing journey that would not only change his life but also capture the attention of collectors worldwide. As he sifted through the coins, he found pennies from every decade, some so worn that the dates were barely legible, others shining almost as if newly minted. Hours turned into days as Walter meticulously examined each coin, organizing them by year and mint mark. That's when he spotted something unusual. In the pile of ordinary pennies, one seemed different. It had a striking luster, an unusual thickness, and a sharpness in the lettering that caught his trained eye. The date on the coin read 2016, and it bore a tiny D under the year, indicating it was minted in Denver. At first glance, it looked like any other penny from that year, but Walter's instincts told him otherwise. He decided to do a little research. What he discovered would make his heart pound in his chest. There had been rumors among numismatists, professional coin collectors, about a small batch of experimental pennies minted in 2016 at the Denver Mint. These coins were said to have been created as test pieces, using a special metal composition intended for future coinage. Most of these experimental coins were never meant to leave the mint, and it was believed that almost all had been destroyed. Yet a few, perhaps by accident or through an extraordinary twist of fate, had slipped out into circulation. Walter couldn't believe what he was reading. Could he really be holding one of these legendary coins in his hand? If so, its value would be astronomical. He carefully placed the penny in a protective case and took it to a local coin dealer for an appraisal. The dealer, a man named Harris, had seen his fair share of rare coins, but the moment he laid eyes on Walter's penny, his face went pale. Harris immediately recommended that Walter send the coin to the Professional Coin Grading Service, the most reputable coin grading and authentication company in the country. Weeks passed, and Walter could barely sleep, anxiously awaiting the results. Finally, a letter arrived, along with the coin secured in a sealed holder. The letter confirmed what Walter had hoped for: the coin was authentic. It was indeed one of the ultra-rare 2016 D experimental pennies, graded in near-perfect condition. Word of Walter's discovery spread like wildfire. News outlets picked up the story, and offers began pouring in from collectors eager to own a piece of modern numismatic history. Some offered six figures, others went into the millions. But Walter hesitated. This coin was more than just money to him. It was a symbol of his life's journey, a reminder that sometimes the most valuable treasures are found when you least expect them. Meanwhile, thousands of people across the country were inspired to check their own collections, their jars of spare change, their piggy banks, hoping to find their own fortune hidden among the ordinary. Among those people was a young woman named Sophia. Sophia was a college student working part-time at a coffee shop. She barely had enough money to cover tuition and rent, often relying on tips to make ends meet. After hearing Walter's story, she decided to take a closer look at the jar of coins she kept in her apartment. One night, after a long shift, she poured the jar onto her kitchen table and started sorting. She wasn't expecting much, maybe a few quarters for laundry. But her heart skipped a beat when she saw a shiny penny glinting under the fluorescent light. She picked it up, turned it over, and there it was, 2016, with a little D underneath. Could lightning strike twice? Sophia wasn't taking any chances. She took the penny to a reputable dealer, who confirmed her hopes. It was another experimental 2016 D penny. Unlike Walter's, hers had a small nick on the edge, but it was still considered extremely valuable. Sophia's coin eventually sold at auction for over $1.7 million, enough to cover her education, pay off her family's debts, and start a new chapter in her life. Stories like these fueled a nationwide treasure hunt. Pawn shops, antique stores, flea markets, and yard sales saw an influx of treasure seekers, all hoping to strike it rich. Coin collecting, once considered a niche hobby for retirees and historians, suddenly became one of the hottest trends among young people. The US Mint even issued a statement acknowledging the existence of the experimental coins but refused to disclose exactly how many had been accidentally released, further adding to their mystique and value. Walter, meanwhile, eventually decided to sell his penny. After a heated bidding war among some of the world's top collectors, his coin sold for an astounding $21 million, setting a record for the most expensive 1-cent coin ever sold in history. He used a portion of the money to renovate his home, donate to local charities, and create scholarships for young people pursuing trades and technical careers, a nod to his own background as a machinist. The rest he used to live out his days in comfort, traveling, and pursuing passions he had put on hold for so many years. Today, the legend of the 2016 D-penny continues to inspire. It serves as a reminder that sometimes, the smallest, most overlooked things in life can hold the greatest value. So the next time you find yourself with a handful of loose change, take a moment to look closer. You never know what you might find. Before you go, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on amazing stories like this one. Thanks for watching, and remember, somewhere out there, a simple penny might just be your ticket to $1 million future. Last. Today we're diving into one of the most mind-blowing discoveries in numismatic history, a story that starts in the most ordinary of places, someone's pocket change. What looked like a simple 1-cent coin, minted in 2002 at the Denver Mint, turned out to be one of the most valuable coins ever uncovered, valued at a staggering $31 million. But how can a penny, of all things, command such a jaw-dropping price tag? Settle in, because this story is not just about the coin itself, but everything around it: the mystery, the minting error, the rare history, and how it found its way into the hands of someone who had no idea they were holding a literal fortune. Let's rewind to 2002. The world was in flux. Smartphones weren't yet in every pocket, social media was just starting to take shape, and the idea of paying with your phone was something out of science fiction. The Denver Mint, known by the D Mint mark, was churning out billions of coins a year. It was a routine process. Copper-plated zinc blanks were stamped with the familiar Lincoln profile and pushed into circulation. Nothing out of the ordinary, until something slipped through the cracks. Somewhere along the line, a minting anomaly occurred. Not just any error, but an incredibly rare double strike with off-metal composition and a previously undocumented design detail that numismatists would come to call the phantom detail. This particular coin didn't catch anyone's eye at first. In fact, it went unnoticed for years. It traveled across cities, passed from hand to hand, dropped into tip jars, and clinked in vending machines. And yet, no one saw it for what it truly was. That is, until a young college student named Alex Martinez in San Antonio, Texas, was rolling up coins to take to the bank. Like many of us, Alex didn't think twice about pennies. He preferred using bills and cards, but as a broke student, he kept a jar of change in his dorm room. One night, low on gas money and waiting for his next paycheck, he sat down and started sorting through the pile. He had no idea that the smallest, dullest coin in that jar was about to change his life. As Alex rolled coins into wrappers, he noticed something strange. One penny didn't feel like the others. It was slightly heavier, the color was off, darker, almost reddish-brown with an odd sheen. He flipped it over and noticed the date, 2002, with a D Mint mark. But it was the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse that made him pause. There was something off about it. The columns were misshapen, the steps had strange extra lines, and Lincoln's statue inside the memorial looked different. It was almost as if it had a different expression, a shadow under the nose, an extra text that didn't belong. Curious, Alex set the coin aside. It sat on his desk for days. Then, one afternoon while scrolling through YouTube, he stumbled upon a video titled, "Rare Coins Worth Thousands Hiding in Your Change," and clicked out of boredom. Halfway through the video, a coin flashed on the screen that looked eerily similar to the one Alex had set aside. That was enough to send him down the rabbit hole. He joined coin forums, posted pictures, and emailed collectors. At first, responses were slow. A few enthusiasts replied, offering $20, $50, One even offered $200. But then came the message that changed everything. A private collector from New York, who went by the alias The Bishop, sent a cryptic email. What you have might be one of one. Do not sell. Get it appraised. Fast. Alex, now both nervous and excited, took the coin to a local dealer. The dealer, an old numismatist named Greg Thomas, nearly dropped his loupe when he examined it. This shouldn't exist, Greg muttered. He immediately sent it to the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, for authentication. What followed was a whirlwind of phone calls, press coverage, and frenzied speculation. Experts pored over the coin. The weight was slightly off from standard copper-plated zinc. It contained traces of a rare alloy typically not used in U.S. coinage since the early 20th century. The strike pattern showed evidence of a double die, but not in a typical way. The layering effect was clean, intentional looking, almost like a hybrid between two different engraving sets. The phantom detail on Lincoln's statue showed an additional inscription, nearly invisible without magnification, that read, E pluribus VNVM, in a different font style than the rest of the coin, possibly from a different era altogether. What was even stranger was the chemical composition. Metallurgical testing revealed the coin contained trace elements found in coins minted during World War II, especially those minted with experimental materials. How could this be? How did a coin minted in 2002 include metals phased out decades prior? Conspiracy theories began to surface. Was this a secret test by the mint? A rogue engraver's hidden signature? Or perhaps a misfeed of an old blank from a forgotten storage vault accidentally struck during a new minting cycle? The government remained quiet. The U.S. Mint issued a generic statement. We cannot confirm nor deny the existence of such a coin without direct analysis. But they didn't ask for the coin. That was enough for collectors to go wild. Bidding offers started flooding in. First $1 million. Then 5. Then 15. Eventually, the coin sold at a private auction for $31 million, breaking records and establishing itself as one of the most valuable coins ever sold, second only to the legendary 1933 St. Gaudens Double Eagle. But that's just the surface of the story. What happened after the sale was equally strange. Alex disappeared from public view. No interviews. No appearances. Some say he moved overseas, others believe he invested in crypto and vanished into early retirement. A few even believe he was approached by agents from a certain alphabet agency who wanted the coin returned. Of course, no proof exists for that theory. The buyer of the coin, the Bishop, has never been publicly identified either. Some speculate it was a foreign investor, others believe it was a museum hiding behind an alias, and a few whisper it was someone within the mint itself. The ripple effects of this coin's discovery were immense. Coin collectors began re-examining every 2002 penny they could find. Auctions spiked. YouTube channels devoted to coin hunting exploded in popularity. Even the U.S. Mint began quietly issuing fewer details about the raw materials used in circulation coins. To this day, no other 2002 penny with similar characteristics has been found. But the story didn't end there. In 2021, a Reddit post appeared showing a coin that looked suspiciously similar to Alex's 2002D. The post was deleted within hours, but not before screenshots were taken and shared across forums. The coin showed some of the same irregularities: distorted memorial lines, odd coloration, and unusual shadowing in Lincoln's face. Could there be another? Was the $31 million coin truly one of a kind, or were there others out there, lying in wait in someone's drawer or piggy bank? Even more intriguing, a former Mint employee anonymously posted on a forum claiming he remembered an incident in late 2001 involving a misconfigured press and a batch of experimental planchets. According to him, the mistake was never reported. Instead, the coins were quietly added to circulation to avoid scrutiny. We were told it wasn't worth the paperwork, the post read. If true, it could mean multiple anomalies from that batch could be in the wild. Naturally, this only fanned the flames. Collectors began treating 2002 pennies like treasure maps. Every coin show had at least one booth dedicated to the mystery. major grading companies began offering special submission events just for 2002 coins. But despite thousands of coins analyzed, none matched the exact specs of Alex's find. It remains unique. For now.so, what does this mean for the average person? It means that the next time you pick up a penny, it might be worth more than just 1 cent. It might carry a story, a secret, or even a fortune. This tale isn't just about luck, it's about curiosity, persistence, and being open to the possibility that the ordinary can hide the extraordinary. Whether the coin was the result of a historical oversight, an experimental press run, or something else entirely, the truth remains elusive. And that mystery is part of what makes it so valuable. It isn't just a piece of metal, it's a symbol of how even the most mundane things can become priceless when context, curiosity, and history collide. So if you're watching this with a coin jar nearby, maybe it's time to take a second look. Because as Alex Martinez discovered one fateful night, you never really know what you're holding in your hand. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most mysterious and valuable coins ever found, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you don't miss any of our future treasure hunting stories. You never know, the next $1 million find might just be in your pocket.